Alright, the next step is we need to, as accurately as possible, transfer these mounting holes from the chuck to the backing plate. And of course the best way to do that is to use transfer screws. Now I didn't have a set of transfer screws for this size, and these are M8 by 1.25, so I had to order them and they just came in today. I've already got two set, and we're going to put the last one in, and you want the tips to be just proud of the surface. Just like that. And now we'll take our backing plate, and I'm going to these bolts here will straddle the mounting holes, so they're 60 degrees apart roughly. And we'll carefully set it down on the chuck. Then we'll take plastic hammer, plastic dead blow, and give it a good solid whack. And then we have 1, 2, 3 transfer holes. Now I need to deepen those just a little bit, and then we'll take it over the drill press and drill them out. Alright, I went ahead and center punched the holes a little bit further. Now we're going to use a center drill to spot them. I'll drill it out to a nominal size, probably 1/4 inch as a pilot, and then we'll go through with the final drill size, which is 9mm. Alright, and the last thing to do is to counter bore the holes for the socket cap screws. This is an M8 counter bore, and the pilot is a 9mm. I'm not sure what the diameter is of the cutter itself. Alright, the last thing we need to do is to drill and tap the 4 adjustment screw holes in the outer ring. Now, of course, the best way to do this would be to use a mill with a dividing head or even a spin indexer. However, I don't have any of those things, so we're going to do it right here on the lathe with a new tool that I made, which is a tool post spindle, and it uses a boring bar holder that has a sleeve that I turned to accept bronze bushings, and the bronze bushings will guide a 3/8 drill rod drilled and reamed to accept a number 3 center drill, and also a number 3 drill, which is the tap drill size for 1/4 28. Now the thing we have to be careful about is we need to take it slow, because there is no good way to lock the spindle. So we need to take it slow so that the spindle doesn't rotate as we're drilling. Now I do have it in back gears, so that'll give it a little bit of resistance. So what we'll do is we'll slip our center drill spindle in. Now I've already got it lined up on a center punch. And then we'll hook it up to our cordless drill. And that does it. We got a perfect hole right through it. Right where I needed it to be. All right, I'll go ahead and finish off the other 3 holes, and then we'll move on to the next bit. All right, the absolute last operation we need to do to finish this backing plate off is to turn the diameter of this inner adapter off. As you know, when I made this, it was a snug fit inside the outer ring. That way that there wasn't any play, so that we could do the machining on the outer ring. Now, in order for us to have adjustment, this needs to be slightly smaller than the outer ring. So we're going to take about 3/1000 off the diameter, or the radius rather. That'll give us about 6/1000 of adjustment. So we need to turn down this diameter and this diameter down here by this radius down here in the corner. So we'll take 3/1000 off of both those diameters and we'll be done. And we are done. Let's head over to the bench. We'll do the final assembly and then we'll get it dialed in. Alright, this will be the final assembly of this backing plate. Now, for the adjustment screws, as I said earlier, they're 1/4 28. But if you notice, the tips are completely flat. This way, it's not going to mar the inner adapter. So we'll start with those. Now we can put in our inner adapter. And now we can mount it to our chuck. All right, let's take it over to the lathe, give it a spin. All right, one thing I forgot to mention during the assembly of this backing plate, the mounting holes that are in the outer ring need to be enlarged just a little bit so that you can have that play. When I initially drilled those holes, it was a snug clearance fit for the screws. So we had to open those up so that you could have the adjustment that you need. Now we're going to see if we can get this thing dialed in. For that, I'm going to use the shank of a reamer because I know this to be straight and true. So we're going to stick that in there. Snug it down. Bring our indicator in. As you can see, we have about 3.5 thousandths run out. Let's see if we can dial that in. All right, we'll start on this side. Set to 0. Now I don't have a good way to align my screw holes, or for the adjustment screws, with the indicator. So I'm going to use my Allen wrench to just hold a place marker and bring the next screw hole all the way around. Now this one isn't off by much. Less than that was just a couple tenths off. So all of our adjustments going to be in these two. Again, I'm using my Allen wrench as a marker so that I can line up the adjustment screws with the indicator. Now here's where all of our runout is. So we'll go ahead and take that out. That's about 3.5. So we'll take it down to about 1 3/4, roughly there. We'll bring it to 0. Move to the other side. Still at 0. We'll check all the way around. 0, 0, 0, 0. Now we need to tighten the clamping screws, or the mounting screws, and we want to do that gradually. We'll tighten it a little bit. Then we'll check the run out again. Just snug it down just a hair. Come on, there we go. We'll bring our indicator back in. Now we are off a little bit, so we'll tweak it back into center. All right, we're within a few tenths. So now we'll tighten our screws down all the way. Now I'm probably going to leave it at a few tenths run out, because that is plenty good for a 3-jaw chuck. If I need anything more accurate than that, then I will just use the 4-jaw. Now we're clamped down tight. Now we're going to check to make sure our runout hasn't changed. We're still within a few tenths. That is plenty good. Now we'll move our indicator out of the way, and this is going to be the true test. If you remember in the beginning of this video series, I was worried about whether or not this was going to hold a 0 when I take the chuck on and off. Or we're about to find out. So So we'll take our reamer out. Remember I said that I used a wrench on the jaw. I lock the spindle, and then I lightly tap the wrench with the palm of my hand. There's no grit or anything. To put the chuck back on, always add a couple drops of oil. You never want to put it on dry. And then we'll set the chuck. And we'll put our reamer back in. Bring our indicator back. Set to 0. Check our run out. And we are still running within a few tenths of a thousandth, and that is amazing. For as cheap as this chuck is, and as true as I've gotten it running now, that is truly amazing. And on that very, very exciting note, that is the end of this video series. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.